Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to be showing is how the node, if you're using that Node.js, that essentially what you've done is you put yourself on a treadmill, and this like upgrade treadmill, it started with, well, I suppose it started with when the first started to do software where it was you had to actually effectively rent it. And you know that so, you know, I think it happened with Adobe, where they would, some printers would upgrade to a newer edition of something like you know, one of the Adobe products, I think like InDesign. And then of course people who had the old version, they try and send a job to the printer, and the printer just wouldn't accept it, which then means that they have to now buy another version, and then if the printer upgrades again, they've got to buy another one. And then in the good old days of open source, of course, you know, that wasn't the case. But now with the advent of Node.js, eventually, you know, this upgrade treadmill has now made its way here as well. And so when you look at this, I'm using Node.js version 16.9. And the thing is, that is actually, I had to update to that version in this user simply because so one of the programs that I just tried to update the dependencies. No, sorry. It was something, I think it was something I was installing, complained that it didn't like the older version of Node that I had installed, because you notice that it's actually in NVM. So you see it's NVM, that's where this Node.js is stored. It's not the system one. But anyway, what I'm going to do is just get on with this. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just get this yarn installed. So I've got normal yarn in, but I just need to import this interactive tools. Alright, so that's in, and this gets installed in each project, because I tried installing it globally, but it didn't seem to be too happy. And so the next thing we have to do is right, so now I'm going to be running this command, which is yarn upgrade interactive, and what you'll see is that it will go through the dependencies for this project and then see which ones you can actually update. And so if I press return on this, you get this long list appears, and as you can see, you've got this nice list here that has appeared, and you can go down and select. Oh, I didn't realize this list was this long. Wow. Okay, I thought it was actually. The only thing is, this is going to be pretty crazy. All right, so let's get on with this. So what this yarn upgrade interactive, what it does is it allows you to choose updated versions for the dependencies. And the good thing about this is that the middle one, as you notice, is range, and what it is that's like the safe version. So if we go to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and just choose the safe update versions for each one. And so what I do is, as you see, it's got the instructions up here, you know, to tell you how to do it. It's pretty straightforward, but this isn't the part that. Actually, I'm glad that there were so many of these, because you'll see the point that I'm trying to make, because it's going to go a bit crazy. Actually, there's just one thing I've got to check, because I got caught out by this before. Just got to check something. I've got to make sure that I'm in the right mode. Because what happens is, alright, yeah, okay. Yeah, because actually I got caught out by this before, where what actually happens is, when it tries to install the Node modules, because my Node.js is 64-bit, if I don't have a 64-bit compiler, what it does is it gives you an error when it's trying to do install some of the modules when it tries to compile them. Alright, so let's wait for this long list to load up again. So now I'm just going to check go through all the safe versions. So as you can see, I'm going down. So you see the pointer over here going down, and then this green dot shows which version that I'm selecting for each one. So each one that has something in the middle, I'm going to select it because that's supposed to be a safe version, but you know how some of these programs, sometimes they like to break things in a point up there. And I wouldn't be surprised if NodeJS programs love doing that as well. Yeah, see, like this one, this is current version is 6, and the only one it has on offer is 7.1. So that could well just break the project. So what you do is just leave that one, and then just go down each one. Yeah, skip that one. And so yeah, so the point of what I'm trying to say is just the fact that these upgrades, and this is just something that's coming now, just to because what I was saying about the good old days is, one of the good things about the old days is, yeah, software development was a bit slow, but what had to happen is that they had to they generally try to fix the bugs before release, but then it's as if once the Microsoft started it with the Windows Vista, because when Vista came out, that was the beginning of the experiment to see if they could release bug-filled debug enabled software and get away with it. And so when Microsoft realized that they could, it's almost as if Apple saw that they got away with it and realized, yeah, why don't we do it? So now what you notice happened is that Apple will release the version of the OS. The initial release is always full of bugs. And then eventually, after a few point releases, he finally gets to a usable state. And it seems to have happened is that they release the software, see what the backlash is, and if the backlash isn't, and because the backlash of the users isn't strong enough, now these big corporations have realized that rather than them having to debug the software properly with their in-house people, now they can just get rid of their in-house programmers who normally do the debugging, and instead get the end users to do the debugging instead. And so now any version of Windows is released, it's released with bugs, and the end users have to debug it. New version of Mac OS comes out, that's released with bugs, and of course the end users, they have to debug it. And the best thing about it is the fact that these softwares that Microsoft and Apple release, they're actually released with debug enabled, for the sole reason that when they crash, you can get a debug backtrace. But I have to admit that with especially with the kernel I'm running on this laptop, I've stripped out all the debugging, and there's no backtraces going to come out of this kernel if it ever crashes. And that's the thing, the kernel runs better and doesn't crash either, so I don't need any debugging on this. But if I was running Mac OS or Windows, the debugging's on, I've got no choice, because Microsoft needs the debug logs for when it crashes or when there's problems with it. Whereas with this system I'm running here, I don't care about no debugging, so I'll just turn it all off. Alright, so now we're ready. So as you see, it says that it says that I should press enter to install. And so now this is where you're going to see the craziness. So I'm going to press enter. Bam. Alright, so now, as you see, alright, this is the point I'm trying to make. So notice what is scrolling up the screen. All you're seeing is deprecated, 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 deprecated. And this is the fundamental. It's like the core of NodeJS is deprecated. This is what it's all about. So here you see the treadmill in full effect. Because the reason why this is such a mess is because this is a piece of software which has actually been, they've stopped developing. So these modules that are being downloaded, they're actually old version. And just because they're old versions, they're not even, most of them are not even a year old. But less than a year has gone by and a whole heap of stuff is just deprecated. And I used to remember, this is the thing that I used to keep seeing with Node.js, is the amount of times you see the word deprecated appears. But I admit, yeah, the deprecated is gone because it happens it's the earlier stage where you see it. This is just the part where it's complaining about the dependencies. So I would just ask myself, since this Node.js is such a mess, rather than having all this mess, where you got the dependencies are all messed up and everything is deprecated, why can't they just go back to the good old days and just sort out the dependencies, do the debugging themselves, and then, do the debugging first, then release the software? But no, this is all we're going to get is this mess, and this is going to go on forever. Yeah, so here's the madness. Let's see how, this isn't even as bad. I've seen worse than this. So as you can see, npm deprecated. This is the favorite Node.js word that I keep seeing. I just love the way any software that you try and install with Node.js, that when you install the dependencies, if it's not the very latest version, where literally they've finished coding it yesterday, then if a week has gone by, or I say 2 weeks, then this deprecated just starts to appear. So essentially what they're saying is you've always got to keep on keeping things updated to the latest, just all the time. And the minute a few days go by, suddenly deprecated appears because you're on a treadmill. And this is what Node.js is about. It just keeps you on that treadmill continuously, writing code. You don't get time to debug it, so you got to write the code, put it out with bugs, and then the end users, they're all messed up, their data's gone missing, and then you then have to fob them off for enough time to try and fix the bugs. And then maybe you get it to work, and then a month later, what happens? Deprecated. Well, no. Yeah, there you go. Deprecated. 1 month has gone by, and now you've got another version's come out, and this is the thing about this Node.js. It's all about just writing code forever and ignoring and releasing code with bugs forever as well. And then the end users, they get bugs forever, and it's just a horrible business. So I only use Node.js when I have to, when some product. So I only use Node.js when I have to, when some product comes out, which has got some good features on it. But then I look on GitHub and find out that, it's written in TypeScript and what's the other one? TypeScript and Vue or something like that. And when you see that, you realize, no, it's Node.js again. And so you know that you're going to be getting the good old deprecated, or once a month has gone by, and that once you're on that software, then you're on the treadmill. But it looks as if this Node.js treadmill is just never going to stop, because these companies like how quickly the software gets new features, and because they've now become experts at fobbing off the end users with all the bugs, it's as if they think this is the new way to program. And I suppose this bug-filled software future is all we have to look forward to if things don't change.